Ah, video. Yes, the holiday video. Yes, I probably shouldn't bother, but I don't know. It's there. There's people like this. It's got to be dealt with. Blah blah blah. So he's made a follow-up videos. These titles are just, even the titles of the videos are shit. So, you know, he's just such an obnoxious asshole. In Mendham, no, 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 no. Always getting the wrong end of stick or something. The stick. What does that even mean? There's nothing no, no, no-ish. I probably paraphrased your shitty video. I'm going to play your shitty video, and I'm going to point out the shit all over it. So no, I haven't made any errors. You have. You're a lousy communicator, and you're an asshole. You're rude and stupid. Yeah. On to the fun. So we'll jump ahead a little bit. Obviously, the first couple of minutes are quite useless, so we'll get to the part that matters.
Without prejudice, it's all a measurement game.
Okay, here we go. We'll go back a little further. No volume, of course.
Above and beyond what I expressed.
I have to turn my system volume up. His video is so low. I mean, he never fixes this shit. At least I try to fix mine. You know, occasionally.
That is the core elements and features of all attempts to address ethics and morality.
So he just dismisses all this conversation as if we really haven't identified anything. So here, it's basically a trial, right? That's what all logic is and reasoning. Is a trial. You're hearing the evidence of the different theories of reality, different explanations, and you're saying what theory makes sense. You know, I would argue that this is like in the O.J. trial. Yes, somebody has the theory that O.J. got pissed off because his wife divorced him. She was his property. Quite obviously stalked her for years, and then he cut her head off. And that's the goddamn theory, and it makes goddamn sense. And the theory of ethics is that, yes, fundamentally, what's the only thing of real value going on this stupid planet Earth is that there's these sentient organisms. Not the trees, not rocks, not roads, not buildings, not cities. No, the people. The people are having conscious experiences. And then it's quite obvious that the animals that they came from, that they evolved out of, are also having conscious experiences. And the conscious experiences are the things that have value. You don't want to be eaten by crocodiles. And what is also quite obvious is that we are born into this world as selfish consumers. Now, selfish consumer pretty much just equal sign Tyrannosaurus. So if you don't apply some sort of ethics and morality and judgment and responsibility and control of behavior, some other element of control of behavior, some intelligent control, that's just a blight. That's just an AIDS virus, selfish consumer. So yeah, we have to do better than that to have any hope of being anything but a giant pile of pus. That theory sounds pretty fucking solid, jackass, and you haven't demonstrated one tiny, minute millimeter of weakness in that theory. Fuckhead.
Interaction.
Oh, it's still too low.
Between persons and decisions about those interactions between persons.
Well, it really goes a little bigger than between persons. It goes to the whole civilization, the rules of the city, the town, you know, the civilization.
Without prejudice in it, saying it's all a measurement game, we have to play the measurement game, everything's measured.
So this is part of his ridicule of the idea that you have to recognize the constituents, the components of a formula before you can do the formula. You can't do the formula. You can have a formula that says A equals V divided by C squared. Well, if you don't know any of the variables, you can't do anything. There's no finishing the formula. There's no conducting of the formula. The formula doesn't mean anything because you didn't have the balls to go out and find out what any of the variables were. So yes, you have to do some measuring, asshole. You have to decide that there's a difference between good and bad. And then you have to kind of understand that, well, the good stuff happening doesn't really need to happen because, well, the need that predicated it, there's no point in it existing. And cleaning up messes that shouldn't have existed in the first place isn't a sustainable job. That's not the kind of thing you should perpetually do, is clean up messes that should never have been made. Yeah, so you have to do a little bit of measuring.
And we measure this, and this has to be bigger than this. And when this is bigger than this, we do this.
Yeah, that's math, that's equations, that's evaluations. You measure evidence in trials. You say, well, that bitch is getting paid by the government to testify. Or you could say, well, that guy's his best friend for life. You measure the credibility of the witnesses, their testimony. Yes, you have to measure things. That's how you do evaluations. And ethics, you've initiated this conversation about ethics, and apparently you're not aware of the fact that to do a conversation about ethics means that you're going to have to do value equations. And you're pretty fucking stupid.
This was, I guess, in Mendham's allusions to, you know...
Well, let's be clear. I didn't pick up any rulers. I didn't talk about any precision. I said simple things like, we know probabilistically. That's what we can only rely on, probabilities. We can't know the future explicitly. I've also said in previous videos many times that we know the extremes on the sides of value. We know the grossly horrible, and we know the pretty benignly pleasant. So we know certainly the extremes exist. Maybe the stuff on the fence is a little more difficult to deal with, so you have to just categorize it as well, we can't really deal with those questions. But the big questions, shall I rape the 4-year-old? Yeah, those are easy to fucking goddamn answer, cunthead.
Physics and velocity, and, you know, to play the game, you have to be doing the measuring thing.
Well, again, if you can't figure that out, you've already gotten it so fucking goddamn wrong. I mean, I can't even explain how fucking eating your own goddamn poo you're doing here. You're sitting there making videos, pretending to be some sort of intellectual, and you're too stupid to figure out that ethics and morality, and what's another word for it, would require you to do some fucking evaluating.
And the thing we're measuring is value, and that's the ethics game that in Mendham asserts we ought to be playing.
You have to, whether you call it you're measuring value, you're evaluating. The point is that it is a trial of theories of value. That's what a conversation, a disagreement about ethics is, because there's two different theories of value, and those theories have to be evaluated with their consistency with what we know to be facts.
Now, in Mendham says, I quote mine and this, that, and the other.
No, I said explicitly, you quote mine. There's no this, that, and the other. I'm so sick of this, that, and the other pile. You keep carrying that bucket into every goddamn conversation as if you have some other grievance. No, there's no other point to be made here. It's an explicit conversation about the fact that, no, you're not doing it well. Okay, I'm just saying that to sit there and quote mine people in conversations where you can't seem to make a video under 30 goddamn minutes on this subject, and yet you will take sentences out of videos and say there's a person's position. I think that's just bogus as fuck.
And I keep telling him, give me the chance to improve and not quote mine.
Well, you'll never do it. I sit there and explicitly write things on a piece of paper. What do you want me to do? Blare them back and forth 15 times and say something like, it's evolution, shithead. It's a fact of reality. We know where we came from. We know what our psychology is. I can say these things over and over and over. I can say it's a trial of a theory. It's a trial of a theory. Now, give me a counter argument. It's not a trial of a theory? You never quote the part that matters.
Context. Give me the chance by saying, Hyflade, when you say this as a paraphrase of my philosophy, it fades.
Yeah, when you hold up a fucking asshole ruler and say I'm being anally specific or something, when you're the asshole doing that, when you're the one saying suffering doesn't exist until you show me the material blob that is suffering, you're the anal motherfucking cunt idiot who sits there and won't just accept its existence as something conscious, complex brains do. No, instead you're saying show me the mechanism, show me the atoms, show me the neurons, show me the quanta. Fuck you. You cunt.
You know, this sentence does not stand alone. This is a partial sentence, or the sentence doesn't adequately state. A sentence is supposed to be a complete thought, and I always hope to.
Yeah, well, you don't. I don't buy that argument at all. Because if you hope to, you would pay a little bit more attention, and you don't even, when even you write your list of crap, you don't even write that accurately. Clearly, I've said this before over and over again. But until you show me the intrinsic thing of value, there's no real conversation about ethics. So if you're going to claim that I don't have any evidence of anything of real value from your theory, then why the fuck would I have a conversation about value if I accept that premise? If all silly theories are equal, if all God theories are equal, none of them have to be true. Not only one of them has to be true, even though they're overtly contradictory, so they can't possibly all be right. And there's every probability that they're all fucking wrong. So why would I pay attention to any of them? Why would I give a shit about figuring out why all these crumpled pieces of paper? I can have a desk covered with a bunch of crumpled pieces of paper. And then we say, let's go find gold. It's crumpled pieces of paper. None of them have any gold in them.
Quote people, at least in complete sentences. Never.
Fuck you, I play your cunt, stupid, ignorant, goddamn, tediously annoying and obnoxious videos, and I respond to your silly, stupid, insipid, contradictory, hypocritical fucking points.
Just a chopped out segment. But without saying Hyflade, when you say this, yeah, and quote me quoting you, then I can't change. I've begged for this.
This is such bullshit. I've begged for this. Bullshit. I've explained this to you thousands of times, so you obviously don't get it. You're claiming it's as if it's a religious theory. To believe that suffering sucks and to observe it by being a conscious entity on Earth, you have some sort of religion. That's a dogma that some leprechaun told you. That's a fable made up by somebody that somehow everybody said, okay, let's believe in the fable. There's no evidence for that. There's no evidence from your personal fucking cunt experience of actually having sensations. No, that's faith. Fuck you.
Quote my transgressions.
I'm saying there is no counter theory of value you can compose that can compete with the integrity of I have fucking goddamn been conscious on Earth, and I've lived a life of mixed experience, and therefore have acquired knowledge of good and evil.
In the past. And Menden's response was fine and cordial, but he had to finish it off in the end with
Yeah, I had to finish it off in the end with the point that I've had to do this over and over and over and over and over again about a point that I've over and over made to you, that I have no help for you. If you cannot figure out that there is value in torture, negative motherfucking cunt value in torturing a sentient organism, then you're too fucking stupid for conversation.
Provoked. Abuse.
Yeah, nothing like the abuse you impose on the organisms you dismissed as having no meritorious function. Nothing you can detect. Somehow it's not proven. There's no facts to indicate that it means anything if you fucking hack off an animal's legs. Well, it does mean something, shithead, and it doesn't mean it because you love your dog or some other poofter bullshit. It means something because you factually understand that the organism suffers. This is so obnoxious. You don't understand my vitriol. You are more disgusting than Adolf Hitler. He was smally stupid compared to you, you fucking cunt. He was a stupid little ego-driven silly person compared to you, you stupid cunt. He could figure out, okay, to be a vegetarian, you stupid cunt.
So, when you talk to the layperson about the policy,
yeah, who cares? The layperson. Well, why sit there and veil it in fakery, where this is supposed to be an honest trial of reality? Why don't you call it what it is? The average ignoramus. So when you talk to the average ignoramus, for whatever stupid purpose, that is because you want to get some pussy or something, why else would you talk to the ignoramuses?
about the ethics.
Yeah, who the fuck cares? What's the goddamn point? Their superficial knowledge of reality is going to mean their opinion is absolute crap. They have been asleep through the whole fucking trial. Why the fuck would I inquire to their opinion?
You can expect that they're not educated.
Duh. So what's this have to do with our argument, you shit?
And have developed a philosophy and an understanding of the nature of truth and the nature of knowledge.
Reply to you all about well-defined purpose of ethics. So why are we going on this fucking tangent about the fact that the average person isn't having this conversation in any kind of reasonable manner? Yeah, we can agree on that. Okay, the average person shouldn't even talk about it because they're so ill-informed. Fine. Move on, please.
And as you inspect the principles in the light of such complexities, you can expect them to put their hand up and call uncle or foul or dismiss you as being grossly pedantic, philosophical masturbation, mind games, and so on and so forth. And in truth, this is a psychological reaction to not wanting their values, the principles inspected beyond the point which they are clearly correct.
Well, this is exactly what I would accuse you of being, in this clear evasion of the subject. You're denying fundamental points of access of evidence and reason for deductions. Our own personal experience as consciousnesses, our knowledge that we are psychologies that are often frivolous and superficial in terms of our passions or desires. These are facts of our existence that you won't even allow into the conversation.
Within their own paradigm and schema setup, you know. And if that isn't the case, then they would be able to hold the conversation down the rabbit hole right up until wherever it leads. Now, the fact that I ask that ethics be well defined, I understand this as what his meaning is that we have had similar dialogues he's mapping older understandings into this statement of well-defined, because he didn't address the notion of well-defined specifically, but as far as I can understand. But what he did say is that I was asking for too much concreteness.
No, no, no. See, again, you're just going to pervert it into some sort of argument that you wanted a more some sort of solid evidence. No, there's solid rational evidence. Okay, I mean it's very rational evidence to say I've personally been conscious, I've experienced, I've ridden that horse, I've gained huge knowledge by riding the horse. There's nothing unconcrete about that. That's very fucking solid. When some asshole says, "Well, I want to see the dents in the saddle. I want to see the dents in your ass. I want to know exactly your atomic weight. I want to know all this other kind of crap that has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you actually rode a horse." That's minutia and bullshit. That's motherfucking cunt evasion. When you ask for a physical diagram of the position of the atomic particles to sit there and say, yes, consciousness exists, then you're asking for bullshit. Okay? Then you're playing a motherfucking cunt game to pretend it's an illusion. It doesn't really exist. It doesn't really have a reality. It's not a discernible thing. No, we're actually experiencing this motherfucking cunt saying it doesn't exist. That's the bullshit catch-22 game he's playing. As soon as consciousness gets real, as soon as the experiences of individuals gets real, he will make them go away. He will shove them into the 14th dimension of irrelevancy because he will say they have no material structure. That's not concreteness. That's bullshit. It's evasion. It's dishonest for you to call it a request for concreteness. No, we have tons of reasonable evidence. It's like you saying, I will not believe in evolution until you show me the videotape. Obviously, there was nobody around to videotape it. It's an expectation or a demand for a level of evidence that is completely unnecessary, especially when you have the fucking goddamn genome shoved in your face. I mean, when you have the fucking Rosetta Stone and you can read the chromosomes, this request for a videotape becomes really, 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 really retarded.
And that the notions that we're dealing with were abstract.
Right, these notions. See, these notions that we're dealing with. Notice he's calling a notion torture. Chemotherapy is a notion. Fuck you.
I think he was trying to say. And that I'm asking for to be able to touch this value thing. And I think that's an invalid criticism.
No, it's perfectly consistent with every piece of manipulation and bullshit game playing you have done, because every single time the rubber will hit the road over that consciousness mattering, that consciousness having significance beyond significance to them, you will make it go away with this bullshit argument. You say if it's in the to them universe, it doesn't exist. It only exists when we're talking about them. It doesn't exist when we're talking about all of them, or a group of them, or all of humanity, or all of sentient life. Then all of a sudden this thing doesn't exist as a reality. This phenomenon that does happen to them, train wreck, somehow doesn't happen to any group of people. It just happens to a bunch of to-thems. That's the bullshit. So fuck you, you game-playing, manipulative, motherfucking cunt, word game-playing fucker.
Most particularly, it wasn't a valid criticism of my last video.
Well, sure it was. Your last video was going all the way back to square one. Again, you're basically saying the same fucking bullshit all over again, starting the same fucking argument by displaying the same quote mind talking points and then presuming to say, none of these people have anything called evidence. Fuck you!
Specifically. So most people chose to assert something in response to my video.
Well, again, another vague reference to who knows who. So, yeah, play the Anacontifod game. I will vaguely reference the vague thing over there and not take any responsibility to actually address points people actually made. Fuck you again.
2 video responses, a few comments.
You don't even link to any of them, so I don't know who the other video response was from. You didn't even give me the name of the video, the name of the person that said it. You could at least have given the name of the other person who made a video, but I don't know about the video.
Only Trick seemed to at least hear the question I was posing and try to answer to that question and that criticism of ethics and value ethics generally.
Who could evaluate that with the non-evidence of anything you provided here? No quotes of any comment made, no query of what the questions or statements were. So how the hell does anybody know that?
I think I have a problem with that response, which I'll go through shortly. That Trick
probably won't be that short, because you do yammer on a bit longer here about crap.
Anybody who wants to say ethics is about counting value immediately discounts everybody else, the people who think sort of human beings are special.
Yes, that's right. I don't know where you didn't get this, but yes, that's exactly the truth. That's right. Well, when you know evolution is the truth, guess what? Leprechauns are out. Sasquatch is out. Demons are out. Poltergeist is out. Ghosts are out. All this stuff is out, okay? As soon as you concede that, yes, we have facts, we can convict, this story is over, okay? OJ did it. The leprechauns didn't do it. The South American leprechauns didn't do it. Even the, Asian maniacal super ninja leprechauns didn't goddamn do it. Motherfucking OJ did it, okay? Psychology is a byproduct of our evolution. We're psychologies. Our psychology is basic selfish cunt. The only way selfish cunt works out in any way with a bunch of sentient organisms, that's the value running around, that's the gasoline, that's the energy, that's the value thing, is these sentient experiences. Well, selfish cunt is sort of going to break the dynamic of there being any kind of thing called rational distribution or thermal equilibrium. You're not going to have any of those concepts existing when selfish cunt shows up and starts stepping on everything and consuming everything. So yeah, that's the necessity of ethics. But yeah, that's right. All the fables are over and done, okay? All the little silly theories that, oh, my ambition means something, or it's really important that we have shiny buildings. Yeah, all that shit's done. That we build giant monuments to God or Jeebus. Yeah, those values are gone. That you need any 10 commandments once you have do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Well, I guess you really don't need any other commandment, do you? Done. Finished. Ethical game now finished. Shit for brain.
And there are these special purposes in which human beings strive towards, and they are the great virtues. And anybody who is, the most revered of individuals, the highest of individuals, are the people who have cultivated these virtues, and that's just the way it is. So there's a whole bunch of people who just assert that. Then
Well, you seem to be a virtue ethicist, so again, I don't even understand that dig into your own philosophy, you retard.
there are the deontologists who, and I think I'm a separate class of deontologists, but
Yeah, well, it's certainly a separate class, but I would, educable, special. I think you're the special class.
in general, the deontologist is this sort
Asperger.
of thing. No, I know, there's just right and wrongs, and anybody who doesn't understand that this is wrong.
Yeah, see, so there's just right and wrong. So in other words, we'll just dismiss the reasoning that goes based on your definition of a right and a wrong, right? What deontologist, show me one of these people who just says there's just right and wrongs, and it doesn't have something to do with an explainable consequence that describes what a wrong is. A wrong is that there's a victim screaming or without an appendage or bleeding or in some other way, you know, being substantially diminished in their quality experience. Yeah, that's what they believe. Harm has something to do with wrong. It's not just, it's a fact that there's a connection between the act and some kind of harm.
This is wrong, and this is wrong, is just a psychopath, yeah? And it's clear.
Well, the part where the person who can't recognize these quite obvious truths about existence, that you are a psychopath if you think your desires are special. If you're Jeffrey Dahmer and you think it's a privilege to have him get pleasured while he destroys your being, consumes it, and that he's done you a great honor by allowing you to be shit by his GI tract, that's giving you a great honor. Now, if you're stupid enough to think that makes sense, you're a psychotic, yes.
And they assert that. And then there are the utility type persons, the consequentialists, who say, oh, it's all about the consequences.
Well, in the end, that's all it's going to be about. And so, really, the ethics are about trying to figure out what the consequences are before the consequences happen. But obviously, we can't do that with perfection because we don't have those crystal ball things, and we can't test every plan. We can't say, well, what if I go to the store at 10 o'clock? Well, what if I go to the store at 11 o'clock? Which one comes out better? Which store experience is better? Or should I wait till 1 o'clock? What happens then? And, you know, one scenario has flat tire in it, and one scenario has fat bitch crashes your stupid cart into your back of your leg and, you know, tears your artery open. Yeah, and then the one scenario is you get the oranges for free because the cashier made a mistake. So yeah, one of them turns out really good, the rest of them turn out sucky, but you can't know that ahead of time, and that's the catch. So you have to have principles and say, well, the principle is maybe I should go when there's the least traffic. At least I can figure that part out. And, you know, maybe I should be pretty careful about what cart I choose, and, you know, how, maybe I better make sure there's nobody behind me, or put a rear view, maybe I bring my own rear view mirror with me when I go to the store so I can put it on my cart to make sure some fat bitch ain't coming up my ass.
And we have to apply a number to the consequence.
Yeah, no, we have to do some thinking and be thoughtful and say, are my desires really important enough? Is this desire really fundamental to my happiness? Will this really complete me? You have to do a little bit of analysis, and you have to figure out what's the real risk here. Will I create a mongoloid with 17 faces glued on their ass? You know, will I do? You know, what will be the consequences? And am I fully aware? And am I really prepared for the worst case scenario? Am I really prepared to be crippled for the rest of my life because I need to go to the store to get a bag of potato chips? Am I really prepared for the worst case scenario? And if I'm not, maybe I should find something else to do with my goddamn time.
And then we can see one consequence is better than the other, and we're all obligated.
Yeah, and we can all figure out that the consequence related to drinking and driving is predominantly negative, just outrageously heavier on the negative side than any positive impacts, by a grotesque disproportion. So we can say, we can ethically understand there's no good reason to do this stupid activity, so don't fucking goddamn do it. There, we have an ethical rule. Not complicated. Yes, you be risk rational and you say you don't do that. Unethical. Beyond the boundaries of reasonable risk management.
To do the other consequence. And the aim of the last video was to point out that each of these categories, as it stands, as ethics being the study of all these people trying to have their say about.
No, it's a study of the theories, jackass, not the study of the people. So again, you got it wrong. It's about the message, not the messenger, jackass. And you've been given this message in so many voices, Trick, me, all this stuff, hours and hours of effort to try to explain this fucking fundamental, easily to deduce, easy to follow logic that's been applied. There's no dogma here, there's no faith here, there's no bullshit here, there's just an honest evaluation of the evidence at hand, and all the evidence points to we are evolved animals on a beastly planet of grotesque consumption where kind are eating kind. Okay, it's a really bad scenario, a really bad game we're caught up in, and to do it with any kind of efficiency, you're going to have to be on the goddamn ball. You're going to have to be a little bit above your fucking visual desires if you're going to play this game with any kind of efficiency at all. Yeah, that's the theory, fuckhead, and it's rock motherfucking cunt solid.
What people ought to be doing. It points to that each of the leaders and academics in these fields.
Irrelevant again. Reply to you all about well-defined purpose of ethics. Well, what are your stupid, idiotic... You're the one obsessed with your stupid fucking cunt icons. You're the one who can't make a video without name dropping all over the fucking cunt place. You stupid fuck. So don't imply that I'm the one who's dropped any goddamn cunt names.
Ultimately asks for faith in their conviction.
No, where did I do that in any one of my videos? Where? Show me one instance in my videos where I said, just trust me about this one. Show me where I pleaded or appealed to anything but giving people the basic knowledge that I have and saying, this is how it adds up to me. Here, this is how I detected the acceleration. This is how I detected the velocity. This is how I detected the math. This is how I did it. This is how I see it. This is how I add it up. Where have I done anything but that in my videos, you lying sack of puke? Okay, you will not find... You can't even quote mine, your malicious motherfucking cunt. You can't even quote mine an instance where I ever appealed to anybody. Just believe in Gary. Gary knows best. Gary has figured it out for you. I will give you the answer. I won't give you a complete explanation of the entire formulation of the formula. I won't explain to you every minutia detail. I won't go into every goddamn bit of the logic that led me to my conclusions. I do exactly that, you fucking cunt. So do not ever group me with some asshole who says, I'm your guru, I will tell you what the truth is. Because that's not what I'm doing on the YouTubes, you cunt. And I have 4,000 videos demonstrating that, you lying sack of fucking cunt shit.
And their assertion.
Again, their assertion explained. I arrived on Earth. I was born to what appears to be a humanoid couple. Okay, I appear, from my memories, to have been maturated by them. I grew from some little fetusy looking creature with a little white bald head and such, and I acquired knowledge step by step through my experiences. I've explained that to you, fucking cunt, and that was where my observations of reality come from, you stupid cunt. That's the instruments I used. I didn't use any wacky boards. I didn't use any Ouija boards. I didn't find reality with any mystical objects. I used my own eyeballs. I watched the other things interacting. I saw the other animals with their entrails hanging out and dragging across the ground going squeak, 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 squeak. And I said, oh, isn't that horrible? I did all of those rational fucking things, you lying sack of shit. No mysteries, no bullshit, no magic anything. So fuck you and this bullshit accusation that it requires some sort of, special insider knowledge to be able to get the guru trick.
And I've leveled the criticism before that structurally this request for the belief of that this is the way to go, this is the way to understand something.
Yes, this is the way to do math. That's right. I'm explaining how you do the math. The math of God doesn't add up at all, okay? Silly 2,000-year-old story, ridiculous expectations. The disciples, the apostles who were supposed to have been able to do incredible, heal the sick, do all kinds of magic tricks, all of a sudden lost faith in their hero in the end. Really, would that happen? If Jesus came to earth, gave you magic powers, would you lose faith because all of a sudden you're going to be in trouble for 10 minutes? They've promised you eternal life in bliss, and they've given you magic powers. It seems to me that you're going to feel pretty fucking indestructible, right? Well, yeah, I think I'm going to ride that God train. I don't think I'm going to run away to, oh, no, I never heard of Jesus. Yeah, bullshit stories all over the place. Totally unrealistic as events that could possibly have happened in fucking reality. And then we can demonstrate to be totally unrealistic. Like other men with size 14 Bruno Magli shoes just happen to be bleeding on Nicole Simpson's sidewalk at 4 in the morning.
Is no different than a faith in religion.
There we go. So fuck. I mean, you just can't ram enough telephone poles up your ass for this bullshit. It's no different than faith in a religion. Fuck you.
That person has conviction that there just is a God, and they have the equally unfalsifiable conviction that they've felt the presence of God, or they've seen it.
And right, and is there anything wrong with that if they actually have? But we know that they actually haven't. But if they actually have, we know that it's probably a delusion. So you're saying that my sensations have been a delusion, that I've been deluded to think that they were negative and they weren't actually negative? No, I'm saying if you take the minimum structure of our brain and you have the expectation that if I put that in a jar, that somehow it's not going to be doing exactly what it's doing in my brain, which is screaming ow, and that that's going to be bad, then I think you're an idiot. A faith-based lunatic.
And they know they're out there, and they know we're being monitored and experimented on, and this, that, and the other. And the conviction of the conspiracy theorist who, when he sees
reply to you all about well-defined purpose of ethics. What's this?
The confluence.
Tangent or something?
Of several disconnected.
No, that what it is just a way of maligning. So I guess you talk about a thing and then you put it in the context of some silly thing. So you just keep jumping to the silly thing. So you talk about something serious like landing on the moon, and then to talk about little kids in nursery school eating their poo. And you just keep doing that enough and people start confusing landing on the moon with eating poo.
Happenings plays a narrative in his mind that there is some overarching organization to these things. Though you can always tell a plausible narrative that supports this belief.
Right, a plausible narrative like evolution.
He never has any evidence to the actual conspiracy as mandated, as dictated.
Yeah, I think you're the guy with a conspiracy theory that somehow, it doesn't matter what you experience, your consciousness, it's a lie. You say so. Oh. Well, I'm not taking your word for it.
As necessary to be a conspiracy, that there is a higher echelon.
Doesn't really have anything to do with anything.
Authorities. Except, of course, when there are conspiracies, and that was the evidence is revealed, because conspiracies do happen.
Yeah, it's about the evidence.
Which brings me to my point.
Trial of evidence.
For the longest while, I've allowed non-objective to this notion of all positives are merely the removal of negatives.
Bullshit.
Why? Because it's kind of an irrelevancy. That's the way I see it. The way I see it is, it's an assertion which is as invalid as an assertion about the truth about whether.
Okay. So he's doing this glass half empty, half full comparison. So he says it's irrelevant. The fact that the positive things were basically the cleaning up of a negative that doesn't need to exist, who's obviously part of the scenario, would be a fundamental. So he says it's inconsequential. It's about as consequential as you can get, because now you're not doing anything meritorious. It's just circular. Then it just becomes some sort of circular, self-justifying thing where there is no real justification. You've made the mess, and now you have to clean up the mess, of course, but there's no justification for the mess making. And then you'll make more of a mess as you're cleaning up the one mess. You're making more of a mess, and then you're making more of a mess, cleaning up each mess only 50%. And then you end up with all this waste flying out of this circular pile of shit you've created. That's very consequential, you idiot. How possibly can you logically say that's not relevant? It's about as relevant as you can get. And now he's going to do a silly analogy about this being about some glass being half full or half empty, when again he's going to determine by his authority, what the level of poison is. So again, so he chooses the analogy, and he chooses an incredibly poor analogy. So I'll choose the baking of a pie analogy, and I'll say one bad apple ruins the pie. I'm going to say there's a certain amount of poison. Okay, who cares? Okay, a little bit of dioxin in the pie. Okay. But there is a line, and as soon as you get to too much dioxin, the whole pie is unedible. So that's the real scenario. The blood bleeds into everything, the negative. Everything it touches and soaks into everything. It taints its value. Okay, so that's the reality of it. These things are all interconnected events, and you can't evade responsibility because the cause isn't direct. So again, Manson went to jail not because he murdered somebody, but because he told people to murder somebody. Right? So he's not exactly a murderer, but clearly we can understand his link in the cause and effect chain is substantial, and so therefore he has to take responsibility for the substantialness of his link being so substantial in holding that chain of events together. So fuck you and this bullshit, half full, half empty bullshit. Doesn't have anything to do with the value of torture.
Glass is half empty or half full. In one sense, the question of whether it's half empty and half full is not well defined.
Well, again, it's your chosen analogy, which has nothing to do with any video I've made. I would never analogize it to any kind of silly half glass, half full, half empty shit. That's that's something silly hippies do, is play games with that crap.
If you are careful to define what you mean by whether it's half full and half measured, you can find out that as a measure of fill in the glass.
Yeah, you're just really not getting it, right? You sit there and concede, okay, well, I've understood a little bit about this point about all positives being made out of fixing negatives, essentially. Well, what does that really mean? It means is that there was red in the glass, and you took red out of the glass. There was negative, and you got rid of the negative. But unfortunately, that doesn't carry any real positive weight because you've used up the value of it by cleaning up the bad. It doesn't have value to clean up red somewhere else. The fact that you removed red from this glass does not mean that another glass full of red is going to be emptied because you emptied the red out of this glass. Your analogy has nothing to do with the formula, the equation, the evaluation. So it's all just a canard.
You can make it well defined and find out that the two things are entirely equivalent to each other in terms of...
Okay, see, the two things are entirely equivalent to each other. Somehow good is equivalent to bad. Well, it's not.
Functional sense about measuring quantity in the glass, that it doesn't matter whether you measure it from the top and the bottom, or from the top down or the bottom up.
Oh, yeah, right. So measurements are all somehow broken. So again, we can't figure out what torture is. We can't figure out what yummy Twinkie is. Yeah, we can figure these things out. It's not undiscernible math. It's not a crooked glass. It's not bent space. It's not a silly volume problem. No, it's pretty goddamn simple. Gratification and torment. We understand these concepts.
As a consistent mathematical
I understand these concepts.
set theoretic measure, they are equivalent and have the same relations.
I don't even know what that means. Again, what is equivalent? Torture is not equivalent to anything else in the universe. There's nothing to compare it to. There's no other thing. And for you to say that I'm going to declare torture to be, 5 bad points, but I'm going to declare my desire to have a new red shirt 8 value points. Yeah, if you're just going to make shit up, well, then, yeah, it ain't going to work.
If you want to attach the extra meaning beyond the measure of the fill into the words...
The measure of the fill. Again, this analogy has nothing to do with the toxic nature of suffering. Suffering is a toxin, not fluid in a glass.
Whether it's full or empty, like empty means negative state. Yeah, and
Says you. See, he's ridiculing his own analogy, as if some of us have somehow analogized to a glass half full and half empty. He chooses a preposterously stupid analogy, and then he ridicules his own analogy, as if it's being made by one of us. This is one of your lies of a paraphrase. You're not paraphrasing our argument with your fake analogy, and then your fake ridicule of your fake analogy. You cunt. This is not even quote mining. This is making up a position we have that isn't our position. Nobody. Show me the video where somebody was arguing ethics with a half full and half empty glass. Show me. Show me how you're replying to you all here. Show me where one of the you alls used this pathetic analogy. Oh, that's right. You can't do that, you lying scum.
a bad situation and full means a good situation, and that you imprint the purpose.
Yeah, right. So he's already converted bad into a half full glass. Did you see what he just did? Full is a good situation, but if you have that half full, really cool torture, yeah, torture's a half full glass. Half full of torture.
Of viewing things positively because it's good for your mental health, and you can find the answer you want by imprinting this purpose, insofar as saying you ought to have the purpose of looking after yourself, and therefore the glass is half full is the best way to look at it.
Does that make any sense to you? Doing good is filling a glass. You can't do it. You can't do the value math with one color fluid and one glass. That ain't gonna work. Now use a glass and then use blue dye and red dye, and then play your little game and see how it works out.
I don't see structurally any difference between the question of whether positives are merely filling empty cups.
Right, so he doesn't see any difference between whether it's futile or mess causing, and whether it's something that's truly epistemic that has to have real resolution from us actually doing something, actually being here for some necessary purpose to clean up some real problem, not problems we made. He doesn't think it's significant. So if a bunch of if a bunch of people kept catching their own land on fire, we shouldn't recognize that they keep starting the fire. We should just keep showing up with our fire trucks.
thing is with ethics, it's about choices.
Well, it's about to say it's about choices. I think is to say is to discount what it is. It's about defining an answer to a truth question. It's about understanding what is, with the available knowledge, with the knowledge available, what is the best course of action.
You can say the brain function is an empty cup, and the positives are merely filling it. And if it wasn't for the empty...
Well, again, that doesn't make any sense. Well, I'm just saying, now he's, okay, so at least he's just playing with the positive part now. So he's saying the positive values are made out of, first you have an empty cup, then you fill it. And he's going to say somehow that's not consequential because he's not going to recognize that we don't fill it completely. So we leave a lot of extra empty cup around. So if you think of the empty cup as a negative, we don't satisfactorily fill the void. We fill the glasses so sloppily that we leave a lot of empty cup. We paralyze a lot of children. This is what we do.
Cool. We wouldn't have anything to fill. But this is presupposing that the cup had a purpose to be filled in the first place.
No, it doesn't presuppose it had a purpose. Its purpose is in its need. There's automatically value when there's a needing thing in a condition where if it doesn't get gratified, it's in pain. Being in pain is valuable. So he just says this presupposes that there's value to suffering. Yes, that's exactly the argument being made, you cunt, over and over and over and over again. I'm really not going to have a conversation with some asshole who won't accept that premise, okay? If you can't accept the premise that there's intrinsic value in the suffering of a sentient organism, we have nothing to talk about. How many fucking times can I say that? You can't ethically understand reality. You're got it wrong, okay? It's a bad theory you have if your theory doesn't include suffering as part of this value equation. You're retarded. Too fucking stupid.
You have the choice whether to fill it or not. You have the choice to have a smaller cup and this, that and the other. Right?
How do I have choices about the ethical choices you're going to be stuck with are situational, and those cups are going to be made by the situation. The person's bleeding on the street, kind of. I don't get to decide how much they're bleeding.
There's symmetry between the perceived purpose of a cup and the perceived necessariness to fill it. I could drink straight from the bottle.
Well, again, there's no bottle to drink from. What does this have to do with your own analogy? You're fucking violating your own analogy. Your analogy of the empty cup is supposed to be desire or need in the world. Okay, needs need to be satisfied. A person just run over on the street. They have their legs crushed and they're on the street bleeding. They need somebody to assist them. That's a need. That's a cup. Okay, I didn't make the cup. I don't have control over that cup. That cup just automatically falls into my environment, and now it's a cup in need of filling. And now the question is, what resources am I going to devote to filling it? Or do I have other cups that are more important? Is there some other empty cup that needs filling that's more important than that one?
Yeah,
isn't that the ethical question, shithead?
Or from the lake or whatnot. Is all in the mind.
Well, again, the circumstances of ethics aren't in your goddamn mind. They're in the fucking happenings and the events and the situations that other people are living in. So again, you've changed the world, the universe back into you. That you get to decide what the cups are. You do. You decide whether Jews in concentration camps exist or not. You decide whether terrorists exist. You decide whether viruses, AIDS exist. You decide. It doesn't have a factual, actual reality in the world. No, you're going to decide whether it exists or not. Well, fuck you. That's not ethics then. You can't have a conversation about ethics if you get to make up, okay, the tragedy happening in the world.
And it's an extra. It's a projection.
Oh, see, it's just a projection, right? There's no real thing happening. You're just projecting harm. You're just sillily supposing that it sucks to be starving to death in a concentration camp for 3 years. Fuck you.
Meaning of a purpose on things.
Again, projecting by this clear standard that has been articulated by Trick and me over and over and over again, a standard based on the concept of harm and the fact that it's an experiential event that happens in the actual universe. The empty cups exist in this dimension, in this universe, in this world, in this time, and they have implications for future empty cups, and they exist as real empty cups in the real fucking world, and I don't get to decide whether they're 10-ounce cups or 7-ounce cups. They can be understood to be very big cups or very small cups, and that can be understood as a fact, not something we get to make up.
It's equally equivalent to say...
Oh, we're at an hour, so let's fuck this. Well, let's play this ice a little bit. Oh.
That there are positives, and the structure of the human mind.
All right, whatever. There are positives. So, well, give me the example of the positive that isn't made out of a predicating negative. So go ahead. I'm waiting to hear about this super fun, perfect emotion you get to have, where you don't have to have a predecessing negative emotion to have it. So go ahead and explain to me this experience you can have that doesn't require some kind of deprivation for it to mean anything. So fuck you, you're an idiot. Anyway. So I'll play his new video and see if there's anything, you know, no, I yes, and I decisively have explained how you trespass and violate conversational and reasonable rules, how your analogies are inappropriate, how your implications and snarky little fucking measurement, ridicule, and bullshit little mechanisms you put into your videos are obnoxious, rude, disgusting. You're a putrid pile of sacky shit. Saggy shit. With man boobs. Fuck you.